Is there a need for Congress to grant the President emergency powers to address concerns of a power supply shortage in the country next summer? What options are on the table to address the concerns of Energy Secretary Jericho Petilla? And joining us tonight is Congressman Reynaldo Umali, Chairman of the House Energy Committee. Good evening, sir, and welcome to NewsLife.
Hi, good evening, and good evening to all of our televiewers.
Sir, to start us off, what really is the score on the power situation in the Luzon grid next year?
Per the pronouncements of Secretary Petilla, we will have problems in the summer months of 2015, just covering that period of the critical period. The critical months are March, April, and May. And there is that possibility of rotating brownouts of about 1 to 2 hours during those periods. So that's basically what we're trying to address in this emergency powers that is being requested.
Now, having said that, should the President be granted emergency powers, and what is the response in Congress? What is the atmosphere right now with regard to that?
Well, the sentiment of the members of the Committee on Energy is that there may be options that can be adopted other than just renting a additional generating capacity. So there is this interruptible load program that is being looked at because per the ERC data on registered self-generating capacity, there is something like about 3,500 megawatts that can be tapped, of which those that are more than 1 megawatt would constitute about 3,100 megawatts.
So can you explain briefly this interruptible load program? Who has these capacities?
There are existing industries and or entities that have this embedded capacities or self-generating capacity. For example, I'm not these are not real figures now, but for example, like for S.M.E would have different malls. These malls would have backup generating capacities of say 5 megawatts. And if you sum it all up, all of these malls, then based on ERC figures and other industries that are heavy users of power, there is a registered self-generating capacity of about 3,100 megawatts. So what will happen is that, when there is a need for power, what these malls will do is that use their own self-generated capacity and free the grid of the same capacities that they will source from their own self-generating capacity. So at the end of the day, there will be additional, say, 3,100 megawatts.
Is that enough to support what is needed during the summer months?
Well, if what is being requested is just about 500 or 600 megawatts, I think this will be more than sufficient.
Now, so what is the proposal to these private entities for them to actually do that?
Well, at this point in time, what is being considered and what is being measured are only those that are that will be given on a voluntary basis. So that I guess if emergency powers will be needed at all, then we can empower the executive and the president by giving him that power to mandate all of this private sector with self-generating capacity to use their own, so that there will be capacities that will be freed from the grid that will be used by all other consumers.
So are there ongoing talks right now with the private entities with regards to the voluntary use of this? And what is the response?
Based on previous discussions, I guess, as per report of DOE, there are something like about 115 megawatts this
Committed already.
Yes, and so, but then there are others that need to be tapped, and for example, the Federation of Philippine Industries had announced that they're willing to participate, except that, of course, they would want probably that they will be reimbursed for the cost really of producing power based using gensets.
Yes.
Plus probably a little premium.
But by doing this, will this now increase the prices of power for the household consumptions?
Well, this is where the emergency powers again may come in handy, in the sense that we should not burden the people of any additional charges as a result of this emergency power. So that this is where government can come in by assuming the additional cost of the power that we will procure from the ILP.
So now, you said there's a commitment right now of 115 megawatts from the private groups. Now, what is your deadline in terms of how much commitment you need for it to work come the summer months next year?
Well, at the latest, there should be a program in place by February. Of course, the earlier the better. The earlier that we can get private sector to participate in the ILP, then that should be better, and that should give a lot of respite to government on how to handle this power situation come summer of 2015.
But if that doesn't happen, then you will push for the emergency powers?
Well, I guess there will be no other option, because rotating brownouts will never be an option for the government.
So, and final word, next steps, what's in place, and communication with the private sectors?
Yes, we will hold a hearing next week, preferably Monday. We were supposed to hold this tomorrow because I had a caucus with the JCPC members just this morning, and then a caucus also of the members of the Committee on Energy last week. And more or less, we already figured out how we will approach this. So we will hear the side and ask DOE to already provide us the details of how they would want, the different options that they'd want to pursue to address the power situation in the summer months of 2015. And hopefully we can come to terms. We will define what is really to be requested and to be granted, and what is important, I guess, to the committee and I guess to the whole Congress is that the consumer should not be burdened by any additional expense that will be borne out of this emergency power.
So to add to that, what is your assurance to the public that come summertime next year, there won't actually be any rotating brownouts?
Well, the emergency power is that assurance. If this cannot be obtained voluntarily, then we will mandate it.
Okay. On that note, thank you very much for joining us here tonight at NewsLife. That was Congressman Reynaldo Umali, Chairman of the House Energy Committee. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.